Emily, thanks for coming. We're going to get straight into it today, because we've only got a few minutes. Yeah. This week, Extinction Rebellion, as this chap name, it's Roger Hallam, has described the ULEZ expansion as intrusive and regressive.
This is quite amazing, actually, because you've seen a lot of people on the left sort of roll back from this policy now, that they've realised how it's actually impacting people they're supposed to support. I mean, the Labour Party, presumably, is there caring about those on the lowest wages, caring about people who can't afford necessities, and then you've got Sadiq Khan in London essentially putting this fee on people with cars that need to get around. So it's quite interesting, though, isn't it, that a man from Extinction Rebellion, a co-founder of Extinction Rebellion, would come out against an anti-car policy on the grounds of progressivism. Do
you think we're going to see XR now on the streets protesting, spraying buildings, digging people's lawns up, campaigning against the ULEZ expansion?
I'm not sure that would make him very popular with his usual supporters, because, of course, his usual supporters are sort of liberal metropolitan types who would normally support the ULEZ scheme, wouldn't they? They would be the types of people. So he may very much be at loggerheads with the people who he's usually all buddy-buddy with. But, of course, you had people puncturing tyres, slashing the tyres of anti-ULEZ protesters. So who knows? It could work the other way around. But he goes on to say that he doesn't support this policy. But what he does support, or what he would support, is more taxes on the rich. OK, that's normal. Everyone from Extinction Rebellion would like that. But also that he'd support carbon rationing on the richest 1% or whoever, presumably most of the country he'd support that for. So think about that. What would that mean? So much control. So, I don't know, Lee, you're only allowed one bus trip this week. You're only allowed one flight this year. You're only allowed one holiday. You can't have that car. You can't have this or that. But this is the sort of dystopian world that we could end up with if we keep allowing people like Sadiq Khan and other groups to take hold of our democracy like this.
Vince, this is a turn up for the book. Surely Extinction Rebellion now saying we should not expand the ULEZ expansion scheme?
Yeah, I think that they shouldn't be backing off, actually. This is, if you're an environmentalist, this is a very good initiative. And as I said earlier on, I mean, providing it's properly designed, it's a good thing. I mean, it was very popular in inner London, where you've got all the very rich people, but very poor people, but they've got...
When you say popular, Vince, popular with who?
Well, it was popular with the public. But the problem has been in the suburbs, right, where we are now, where you get the public transport isn't as good and the air quality is better. So it's less urgent. But, you know, certainly the sense I have in the part of London I live, and another part of outer London, Twickenham, is that people see the benefits of it. They're not very hostile.
But hang on, there's been public consultation after public consultation where people have said they do not support the expansion of ULEZ, and it just gets ignored. I don't know why they even bother doing these consultations, because they clearly mean nothing, and these policies are rubber-stamped anyway, and it's going to be expanded on the 29th of August, come what may. Meanwhile, people are absolutely terrified of the cost of this.
Isn't it about time, though, Emily, we had a consultation on the air quality on the undergrounds in London?
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point, but I don't know what you could do about that. I'm not a physicist or an engineer, but it is where there is a huge amount of pollution. That is what people say, isn't it, Vince?
Vince, the underground.
Well, you've got to modernise the metro. You know, we've had the Elizabeth line, the great advance. It's certainly much higher quality than the old lines that were almost a century old. But, you know, the underground system of London is one of the best systems in the world, and we should be proud of it and expand it.
But that's not really the point. People should be able to make choices in their lives, and this is what annoys me. It's we know best at the London Assembly. I know best as London Mayor what is best for you, your family, your business. He even had the cheek, Sadiq Khan, to say that this is for the benefit of tradesmen. So this is for the benefit of your local plumber. This is for the benefit of your local builder, because they'll have to take off fewer days for asthma. When was the last time your plumber complained about asthma? But when was the last time they complained about the cost of getting around London? I mean, it is ludicrous.
Well, the problem is that traffic is partly a matter of personal choice, and I want people to have choice. I own a car and I love it. But at the same time, you have to take account of if everybody pitches on the road at the same time in the same place, you've got congestion. You know, there are social impacts. not just congestion, but bad air quality. And somebody has to make a decision about the wider public interest. And I do believe this scheme has got to be better designed. You've got to try and give people proper warning. You've got to try and help them with the scrappage, the costs of winding up an old car.
We can't afford to pay for everyone to get a new car. I mean, that's ridiculous too. People say, oh, if only the scrappage scheme was more generous.
Okay.
Well, hang on then. But yeah, that's fine. But, you know, the taxpayer then has to cough up. I'm going to
calm you both down for the moment. We're going to have a simple yes or no question. Vince, you're used to this. If there was a referendum on the ULEZ expansion, would the people of this great area vote for it, yes or no, Emma? Emily?
Would they vote for it, in favour of it? No, I very much doubt it.
Vince?
In my area, yes.
Yes, definitely?
I think so.
Well, there you go, a slight disagreement there. But next we've got Wokie of the Week, and we're going to be joined by Vince Cable and Emily Carver. Time for Wokie of the Week. This is a part of the show where we pick 3 woke organisations or people and we pick a winner to see who's been the Wokie of the Week. So the first one is emergency operators. When you ring 999 and asking people which pronoun do you require. Now just imagine, guys, you're gasping your last breath. You're on your own. You've crawled 3 miles to a telephone somewhere in the middle of a country lane, and you know you're on your last knockings, and somebody's asking you which pronoun are you?
It's very silly. Is it true?
Well,
it is true.
According to my fact sheet, it's true. The second Wokie of the Week is entitled Scouts Honour. The Scouts have released a style guide which calls for postmen to be called postal workers and firemen to be called firefighters. Now, again, you ring 999, your house is on fire, your cat's stuck up in loft, you know, it's burning down, you're ringing up, and does it really matter if they're firemen or firefighters or firewomen or fire what? I think it's just a load of nonsense, to be honest, but, you know, bear that in mind. So, Wokie of the Week number 3 is James O'Brien. He's a LBC radio presenter. He's a regular in this section of the show. He's always on there. He spends most of his time having a go at me and my good friend Brendan Clocksmith and Jonathan Gullis and a few other sensible politicians, so he's always on there. So I guess we're going to throw this to the audience, and then they're going to boo or clap, or I think they're going to boo. I think they're going to boo. Let's have boos on each one. So the first one is the pronoun question on the emergency operators. Can we have a boo? Ooh. There's a boo. And the second one is the Scouts calling postmen, postal workers and firemen to be called firefighters. Ooh. Slightly subdued boo there. And number 3, I've got my fingers crossed for this one, is James O'Brien. Well, there you go. I think this week's winner, obviously, is the emergency operators. They are the Wokie of the Week. I think that's a good choice, actually. What do you think, guys?
Well, it's a good choice, actually. It's spectacularly silly.
I'd be quite offended if someone at the emergency services asked what my pronouns were. Yeah. You would assume it was quite obvious from the pitch of my voice.